Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, my guest will be Mr. Gquan IBG, and he has some of his young crew with him. Gentlemen, how y'all gentlemen doing?
Doing fine. Doing great.
Let's introduce yourself. Let's go from.
I'm Court to Die For.
My name is Arthur Williams.
And I'm Nume Cole.
Gquan.
Gquan.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your organization.
Well, basically, me, myself, life experiences has brought me to a point where in our black community, I've been frustrated with the fact that I call black men being out of their natural position. And my way to combat that is to speak to other brothers and help them get back into their natural position, which is like really the head of the family.
Question, you said they're out of their natural position. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you want to go historically, if you want to go back to the slave time on the plantations, in order for us to have been enslaved and have us separated to some extent, the black man had to be taken out of his natural position, wherein through a series of demonstrations or what have you, they did things in front of all the slaves to demonstrate, more importantly, to the black women that they could not no longer rely on the black men to be their protector and their care provider. And as a result, over the years, the black man has not been, here in America, we have not functioned over a very long period as being in our natural position.
God, how did it get that way?
Well, it got that way, some people call it the Willie Lynch method. Some people debate whether or not Willie Lynch ever exists, but I believe the methodology exists, wherein when they, one of the methods they used, they would bring all the slaves together and they would take two of the biggest bucks, as they would call them. They would take one, they would tar and feather him, put a horse on each ankle and each wrist, set him on fire, and split him in half. They would take the second brother and beat him very close to death. As a result, the psychological effect on that, on the women and the children, now the black woman says, whoa, I can no longer rely on King Mustafa anymore. I have to rely on this white man. Deeper than that, as a mother with maternal instincts, she now teaches her children to grow up in a way to be in subjection to the master. My opinion, since we've so-called been freed from this plantation, we have not collectively as a people said, hey, we don't think right. Because what the methodology caused to happen, it taught us not to get along.
Okay.
You know, that's how else could a master who he has land, he has a wife, a couple of kids, maybe a staff of 20 or 30 people, but he has 400 slaves. How do you control them? You create chaos amongst them. As long as we're fighting and disagreeing with one another, we can never plot on master to overcome the slavery thing.
So with your organization, what do you basically instill inside these youth?
Well, what we're doing is, for one, I believe, again, traditionally the way that we're taught and the way that we're raised, we stifle the young. You know, these young men here are 19, 20 years old. They have great, wonderful ideas. And there's a lot of things in society that tells them they can't do the things that they desire to do, or they have to take certain steps before they can do it.
Correct. I
believe that's a limiting teaching. What we're attempting to do, or what we are doing, is a few things. We're forming a gang, but of course we're a positive gang. We're called the LPs, which is Love and Peace. Some of the things that I desire to teach them is, number one, how to circulate money amongst us. African Americans here in America, although we spend the most money, we keep the least amount of money in our communities. I believe that's one of the keys to our advancing or elevating in this space and time, is to have more economical power. In order to do that, the money has to circulate amongst us more than it does. We have to own more of the property that we live in, and we have to own more of the businesses that we spend our money in. So right now in the beginning stages, that's what we're doing. It's going to spill out in every aspect: entertainment. We're forming a financial group. We're going to have a real estate section. Every aspect of our lives that we spend money on, which is just about everything here in America,
correct,
we're going to situate it in a way where the money stays in the community longer.
Speaking to some of the young men inside the back, what do y'all feel is the biggest problem we have within the youth in our community?
I mean, it goes back to, the limited dreams. You have a lot of people in these situations in the urban cities such as Chicago or these inner cities, and they're struggling. They have dreams, but they're limited. So we don't really know how to reach out or to grab onto those dreams. So then all of a sudden we just settle. And when you settle, you live the basic life, dead-end jobs, and you struggle. So that's kind of the aspect that we're looking at and trying to change that atmosphere.
How about yourself, sir?
Just some of the things that he touched on, just, having the ability to think, make what you think possible, just you don't have to listen to all the hearsay, oh, you're black, you can't start this, you can't do this. Just because I'm 20 years old and I think like I'm a 30-year-old in the process of creating, me and my peers should be able to start whatever I want to start. The world is limitless.
Correct. How about yourself, young man?
Yeah, some problem with the youth is that most youth always want to be like a superstar, but they don't really have the mindset of how am I going to be a superstar. They just want to like get up in the morning and say I'm a superstar. They don't know how to go for it, how to work for it, become a superstar, because they don't have people there to help them, to guide them, to succeed.
But see, I believe that all goes back to the man at home. A lot of us don't have the father figure at home. You're talking about the life that starts at home. You're looking for the wisdom. You're looking for that direction from the elders. And you have a lot of elders who direct you in the wrong path or just shoot you down and tell you that you can't do this, So it's all about the direction and changing the mindset.
Where are the men in the home? Where are they?
Well, many of them, unfortunately, in the black community are not there. Many of them are in jail. The overall cause of many black men not being there, again, you can trace it back to the plantation, or even shorter than that, you can trace it back to before we integrated. And it seems like, I was a little baby when we integrated, but when we integrated, we just lost all sense of family and togetherness, and it's like a lot of black people just said we no longer had anything to fight for. I don't call it a fight nowadays, because nowadays all the so-called problems in our community come from within us. We have to fix it now. We can't go outside anymore and ask anybody to come fix it, because we have all the resources we need to fix it. Again, the fathers, unfortunately, there are many fathers who have not had fathers. So you have generation of fathers who have not had fathers, with no one stopping to say, hey, this is what a father is. This is what a father does. Not to excuse it or condone gentlemen that have babies and walk away, because to me there's no reason for that. I understand that's the thinking behind it. We've not been fathers traditionally for so long.
How can that self-esteem within that black man in that community, you know what I'm saying, when he can't find that job, or when something's going on, or maybe when that young lady is lowering his self-esteem because he doesn't have a job, how does that affect him, and when he doesn't want to stay in that type of atmosphere?
Well, that would go back to, again, changing the mindset that we've come with from the plantation, and not just the plantation. There's a mindset in general that says that we can't do this, or we can't achieve these things, or that even says that I should react to this situation like that. Wherein, as we go through this movement, we are encouraging brothers to have a new mindset. So if I don't have a job and I'm looking for work, let's get together and let's create some work.
Entrepreneur.
Yes. Yes, well, that is part of the empowerment of the movement, entrepreneurship. Again, the movement for me has come out of the frustration of being here in America all my life. In the communities that I've lived in, I've always handed my money to someone who does not live in my community, who takes that money instantly out of my community and half the time treats me like garbage. So we have to change that around. Not advocating hate towards anyone. I mean, if you're a businessman, you see an opportunity, you're supposed to go for it. In our community, we have to stop that. You go into a black community, 99% of the businesses are owned by people that don't even live in the community, don't even hire people in the community.
Devil's advocate, I got a question to ask you.
Yes.
How about our businesses, black owned, who probably may take advantage of some of our blacks in the neighborhood by prices being higher, or the type of merchandise that they're selling may not be as of same quality as.
Right. Well, for us,
wait, we got this gentleman right here. You want to say something?
Well, I mean, I learned this in school actually, and it was a slave quote, and it was, "I was sold by my own skin color," and you know, it goes back to the black man keeps the black man down. You know, so you have to give that empowerment. You have to change that mindset. You have to be able to expand. I should look at you and see my brother. I should look at, you know, the women and see my sister. There should be that love and that peace within outside of our community. It shouldn't be about getting on top of everybody else and being, you know, it's way deeper than that. You know, so.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and along with what he said, we're actually, it's going to have to be a transformation of thought in general. And as we go forward, we're seeking out those who think like us.
Correct.
You know, because we're not the only ones. So we want to connect with any organization or groups that are beyond the stigmas. Oh, black folks can't get together. We could never achieve this, and are ready to let that go, release that thinking, and think more on a positive note, and believe that we can come together and we can create something. We already spend $1 trillion a year as a people. So black people, for me, could no longer say we poor, we don't have money. We spend the most money out of everyone else in America. So there's a possibility for us to be the most prosperous. A couple of these young brothers are from Africa. We're also going to take the movement to Africa. When I say movement, it's a movement wherein we're going to have a soundtrack to the movement. We're going to be producing music that's for togetherness, for uplifting, for evolving. We're going to create Congress in Africa to come back to America, so that the goal is to become a self-sufficient people.
Correct. And it all comes within the mindset of everyone. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, working together and stuff like that, because some people, they have that feeling of, I'm going to take advantage of the next individual, instead of working together and stuff like that, and working as a unity.
Well, what we believe is the power of the unit, the consciousness of the unity that we have and that we're promoting, those people will be weeded out. They will not affect what we're doing. What I realize, we may not get everyone, or I may speak to you about it and you may reject it and you may come on a couple of years from now. We don't concern ourselves with that. We move forward because we know what we're doing is positive, it's evolving, and just how energy works. If you got a powerful force of energy moving in a direction, it may attract some negative energies, but they won't be able to hang. So we don't worry about that.
Do you find your job it's going to be kind of difficult, because it's like you said, that negative, because there's a lot of people who will not like to see these gentlemen be successful. They don't want them to have a business because they don't have one.
Well, let me explain a little bit about my mindset. My mindset, as I go forward in doing this, first of all, there is no fear.
Correct.
There is no, in my mind, there is nothing that can stop this movement but us. Of course, you have people who go on different sorts of consciousnesses that could be said to be negative or what have you. We don't worry about that. We know that what we're doing is extremely positive, and it will attract positivity, more so than negative. And those things that come, you know, maybe media or somebody might try to come at us, we're not worried about that.
Dealing with the youth, I mean, that peer pressure. How you going to take that peer pressure when it comes to you, young man? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because Gquan, he's telling you a lot of positive things that we need in our community, but how you going to deal with that peer pressure that's going to come and hit you?
Well, you want to ignore the negative. You know, you want to, if even the negative that comes, you want to focus on the positive. You want to turn the negative into positives. You know, keep the open mindset. You know, still invite them in, even though they may come with a negativity. You still want to show them that the opportunity still lies, not just within us, but within you also. You know, a dream is very much so real if you believe in it. You know, so you can paint the perfect picture for them, and then sometimes you have to let them paint that perfect picture for themselves. So whether it comes directly when we want it, sometimes it may just come when they need to, but they have to speak that into existence, and that's something that I've learned from, you know, Gquan himself. You know, so this is a very powerful movement. You know, I'm not really concentrating on
Correct.
that peer pressure at this, you know, particular moment.
Just basically mental freedom, you know, as far as from slavery, slavery's over, but it's that still mental consciousness as he was speaking. If you're still bound by all those the negativity, you know, how could you prosper? How could you live in a positive state if you're not at peace with yourself? You know, of course you're just going to bring out negativity. So for us as positive individuals just coming together and trying to do something great, hate is going to come, yes, but at the same time our core is so strong that it's not about the hate. It's about what can we do right now. And that's just some of the things.
And I've spoken to many young people, from the most mild-mannered to the so-called toughest. One-on-one, none of them want to live the way they live. They don't have any other way of thinking based on what they've been taught from, of course, from birth to mid to late teens.
Correct.
With no teaching, okay, you just follow along with everybody else sags, everybody else abuses women, everybody else shoots each other, so that must be what I'm supposed to do. So again, a lot of it has to do with black men, older men, taking responsibility, not being afraid of the young ones, and say, hey, come here, let me tell you something. Another motivating factor for me with this is when I was their age, when I was 19, 20, and had dreams of changing the world, I never had an older man come to me and say, hey, this is what you do with all that knowledge and energy. Put it here, put it there, and take it that way. So realizing the void there, I'm not letting that happen to any young guy that I meet that has ideas and wants to put them into action. Doesn't want to wait 8 years to go to school. He wants to start his business now. Come on, let's go.
To the gentleman how many of y'all have your fathers in your life or some type of figure that you can look up to at home or
I can take, you know, I can actually say that I do have the male role models inside of my family. I actually just moved to North Carolina, so the family has kind of split. So over the time, you know, I haven't really been as connected with the male role models, but as far as since I've been in Charlotte, the Southern comfort, the Southern love that I've received here is amazing. And, you know, so I'm getting a lot of different elders with wisdom that's come into my life. And I've even met, you know, my brothers here from Africa, and they're bringing that African culture and their wisdom from the African culture into my life, to where now my ideas, my wisdom, my knowledge have expanded greatly. So that's kind of how I look right now.
for this gentleman right here?
In my household, I would take my cousin TJ as my role model because he's a guy with self-motivation. He always try to succeed. He always go for what he want. He like always try to look up to people of like what they say or how to do this. He always try to find out how to do his own thing. So I think that's a good role model for me because it's good to think on your own. Right. Try to make some decision on your own because listening to what people say all the time leads you to trouble. So I think your own decision is the best decision for you.
How about you, young man?
I would have to say actually my mother, because as I was growing up, my mother and my father split, and she later remarried to my stepdad. He's a wonderful individual, but I just have to say my mom for being so strong. If she could outlast all the hard times, the hardships with us being a single parent, having 2 kids, working 2 jobs, and still having time to take us to practices, that's a strong role model, right. Male or woman.
Gquan, these gentlemen that you have behind you, how does that make you feel hearing that passion they have to want to be successful in life?
It's confirmation to me that I know what I'm talking about when I say, number one, this is next. They're next. They're right behind us. These are going to be the main spenders, the main doers in our community over the next 10 years or so. Lost my train of thought. What was I saying? I'm sorry. Ask me the question.
Go ahead.
Again.
Be yourself. Be yourself. Don't be. I mean, come on. This how does it make you feel? I mean, you're hearing these gentlemen back here.
Oh, it makes me feel great. It makes me feel responsible. It makes me feel at the end of the day, when I go home, when I talk to my mate, I'm not talking about what I desire to do. I'm doing what I desire to do. I'm at a point in my life. I've spoken about this for years.
Correct.
And it's at a point now where I believe within the cosmos, physically, mentally, it's time. There are many black people, young black people, that really don't want to live the way they live. And a lot of them don't have any idea how to change that. My mission is to teach them that, first of all, it's a decision. You make a decision and you walk towards it. It's that simple. There is no process. If you don't,
go ahead.
If you don't want to live like this anymore, don't. You know, when you spoke about the peer pressure earlier, you asked them about the peer pressure, we intend to be the peer pressure. We intend to go out to other gangs and challenge them. You know, you're tough and you shoot and you kill. Are you brave enough to love me? Do you have the heart to love me? And believe it or not, it's to a lot of people that sounds corny or crazy. It's very effective. It's very effective to challenge the so-called thug, because most of them, or what I've learned in life, the toughest guy that you have, the one that's quickest to shoot, is the most afraid guy on the block.
Correct.
Only fear does that to people. When you're not fearful, you don't need to walk around with a gun. You don't shoot people because they look at you funny. It's a fear-based mentality. So another lesson to teach is there's no reason to be afraid.
Yes, sir.
You know, just looking at the aspect of dreams, you know, growing up in the urban city, Chicago, you know, you have a lot that wants to be the next LeBron, the next Kobe. You know, they're very limited in dreams. They want to be the next rap star. As, you know, Cartu was saying earlier, they want to be the next superstar. Nobody wants to be the doctor or the lawyer anymore. Nobody wants to be the owner of this franchise or this business, even the coach, you know, and that's a problem to me, you know, now that you're talking about that mindset. That we, as black, you know, African Americans, we don't see that. You know, we're limited that far. Correct. You know, we only want to, you know, go so far in life, you know, and sad thing to say is, you know, we're actually okay with settling. We're okay living a decent life. You know, it goes all the way back to integration. You know, after that happened, it seemed like everything just got laid back. Everything's now cool. I got what I needed, you know, after the Martin Luther Kings and after the Malcolm X and the Huey Newtons. After this voice was heard in that time, they conquered so much to where it seems like the new mindset that came up, the new generations, didn't know what to do next, not understanding that we were still slaves inside of our own mind because of what the white man has taught us to dream, that you only can dream so far. This is as far as you can go. Not understanding that the white man still triples and doubles their money off of what we do as far as our talents as a rapper or as a singer or as a basketball player. And that's a problem.
What do you need from the community?
We're putting out a call to anyone that thinks like we do, and we're asking to come together and have dialogue, and the dialogue is not about how we gonna get over this old master thing. The dialogue is how we're gonna build a nation, how we gonna take care of ourselves. And we're leaving out, we're not asking you to change philosophies, religions. We just want you to change your consciousness enough to the point where it is commonplace for you and I to come together and build. Brother, how could we build? So what I need from the community is just, if you feel like we do, come speak to us. We're having an event on
the 27th of August at the Art House. Pretty much it's a peace rally. It's a meet and greet. It's bringing in a lot of black entrepreneurs from the North and South Carolina area. We're going to just pretty much have a good time, talk, discuss the issues at hand, you know, pass out, you know, the different, you know, business cards and, you know, have a good time at the same time. Let you know that peace is within the community, that people do really want this change, you know, that this is very possible. But it's more in numbers, you know, and it starts somewhere, and it starts with us.
Yeah. Primarily, and the call is primarily to the younger people. I want to deal with these guys. A lot of them will tell you generally the reason why there's such a gap with older people helping younger people, we forget not to tell them what to do. A lot of times they reject what we say because based on what we know, like you and I as older men, what we know is based on what our parents and teachers and clergy taught us, and we have our own sets of laws and what we think is right for life. I'm careful not to put myself on them when I speak to them. I speak to them about being themselves, expanding and expressing themselves, and not listening to anything limiting. You know, you're black and you're from Africa, so and you're only 19, so you can't do this. For us, there's no such talk like that. You know, these gentlemen want to be CEOs. I'm telling them you can do that right now. There is nothing stopping you from doing that. And I'm inviting other business people to come in to be business mentors to these young people and help them, show them how to get money, your first investment capital, and how to set up a business, because that's the thing. Part of the mindset that we've been taught coming up from the 60s, I don't know how far back you go, it was always go to school, get a job, retire, and live good. That concept is kind of, with technology, that concept is kind of a little out the window. And then for us as a people, if I meet a kid that's in college, my advice to him is, yeah, go learn what you're going to learn, but go with the mindset that when you get out, you're going to start your own business. I mean, to me, it makes no sense go to school 4, 6, 8 years, get out and ask someone to give you a job. You just went and got 8 years, 10 years of knowledge. Why don't you create your own job?
Maybe that's a fear.
Pardon me?
Fear. Maybe that fear.
It's fear, and it's more of, like the young man was saying, in the environment that we grow up in, none of that's encouraged. You either got to have a wicked jump shot, or you got to be able to sing.
Okay, we run short time. You got a little bit to say, sir, before we end this.
I was just going to touch basis on that. You know, that's part of what we have in America right now. There's no entrepreneurship here. You know, so we haven't expanded since, you know, the Clinton era, and that's basically something that we need to do now.
Okay, we're about to end the show, but you said that meeting, the date and the time, location.
August 27th.
7 to 11 at the Art House.
The Art House is located. No, actually, the Art House is it's off of 36th Street. Please forgive us for that. You can email me for more information at Gquan, Gquan IBG 77@gmail.com.
Gquan, I'd like to thank you and the gentlemen. Y'all continue to be encouraged and be positive in life. Positive thing creates positive results.
Thank you for having us.
Audience, you be encouraged. Thank you.